Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in this beautiful, amazing, wonderful planet of ours. This is Marc here on Facebook Live on the Om Times Magazine platform. Hope that you're having a great day. Hope that you had a great weekend. This is Metaphysical Mocha Mondays with Marc. I'm here every Monday morning here in Seattle, Washington of the Pacific Northwest at 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Thanks for joining me this morning. This morning we're going to be talking about resetting our defaults or our mind defaults. And I want to give you some messages for the week. I want to talk to you about your mindset, some things that you can look at when it's your mindset, your thoughts. It helps you with your journey of life. And I'm just going to say good morning to all the spiritual prospectors that are out there around the world looking for their own spiritual goal. That's what I do. And in the description field of this video, you can click on the description field and you can go to any of my online classes over in the Om Times Learning platform, the Experts Learning platform, or Learn It Live. Just look for my name and Soul Adventures, and I have about 12 classes. I do have an upcoming class at the end of this month on the 25th of May. We're going to be doing level 1 of Spiritual ABCs. Registration is $20, and you can sign up for that class this week if you're interested. And we're going to be doing 3 levels of Spiritual ABCs through the coming months here. But just want to say thank you for joining me this morning. And grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your protein shake. We're going to sit down and have a Metaphysical Mocha Monday discussion on resetting your mindsets or your defaults, if you will. So I'll also have a positive affirmation for us, and I will also be giving you a number today, numerology. One of the numbers that I was called to talk about this morning was the number 27 in my meditation, and that's a very spiritual number. I'm going to be talking about an animal totem for you for this week, and just taking the next week to go exploring for what is right for your journey and your path. And this morning when I was in meditation, I do these like I said, every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, and I do a meditation before I go live. And I do want to let everybody know that I will be doing a live after show. If your comments are coming up here on the live video, thank you for joining in. We've grown so much that it's hard for me to give a shout out to everybody, to say hello to all the awesome people around the world and joining this spiritual community and our soul tribe, if you will. But I'll follow up after the video. If you have questions, feel free to post them. And in the description field, there's a new link that I'm going to be starting for an after show over on my business page, The Intuitive Prospector. You can just click on the link, and at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, I'll be taking a live Q&A on the Intuitive Prospector page where we have a lot of fun, and I can interact with you directly through Facebook Live. So you can join me right after this today's message on Metaphysical Mocha Mondays with Marc here on Om Times Magazine. So the positive affirmation that I wanted to give you to have for the week, it's actually tied to our Inspired Living Radio positive affirmation for the month of May. And we wanted to give you that positive affirmation to help you in your journey. And it is, my life is filled with abundance and prosperity. Again, that's a positive affirmation for this week. It can help you on your journey. And my life is filled with abundance and prosperity. So I've found that positive affirmations are very powerful visualizations, manifestations. I took my graduate studies in sports medicine and human performance, so I've got a little bit of knowledge of how the human body works, from anatomy and physiology to visualization, manifestation, and how the mind works in my graduate studies. And I found that positive affirmations are very, very powerful when you do them in the morning, when you do them in mid-afternoon, and when you do them in the evening. And so neuroscience, which is the study of the brain, is always having us look at the thoughts that we have on a daily basis. And so this morning I was thinking during meditation, like a computer. Most people know how computers work, or if you're watching this live feed on Facebook Live, most of you have a smartphone or a smartphone technology in your hands. And you'll know that if the smartphone or your computer gets too inundated with too much going on, then it freezes or it slows down. And the human mind is no different. It gets a lot going on in the day. There's a lot of great books out there that you can read about time management and tailoring your thoughts and where your thoughts take you. But this morning I wanted to talk about how can we reset our default, because every morning you have the right and the choice to be happy and to choose happiness. And it really all begins with you. You can wake up to external circumstances that aren't that are not in your favor, if you will. But you always have the greatest choice of power and free will on how you respond to that situation. And it usually starts with your mindset. I like to say that the universe, everything is born twice. Once in your mind and then into your own reality. So that's the power of visualization, manifestation, motivation, mindfulness, positive affirmations. So if you start the day with an attitude for gratitude, it can really change your behavior. If you wake up not feeling great, or your health is not great, you can wake up feeling sore. I deal with this myself in my own journey and some of the chronic pain that I have on a daily basis. But I get up and I celebrate the day knowing that today is all I have and there's no guarantees for tomorrow. And there's things that you can do in the morning: yoga, Tai Chi. I do Qigong energy work in the morning. I just got my garden planted this weekend, and I've got a figure eight labyrinth built into the garden, so I can walk around in a figure eight, or the infinity, while I talk to the plants. So that's a form of meditation. That's a form of mindfulness, and that helps me with my day to get started if I'm having a difficult day of feeling pain. And I know a lot of you out there are feeling either physical pain or emotional pain or mind pain. And so I thought it would be important this morning to talk about resetting the mind defaults of our mind and what we can do for that. Probably the biggest thing, the mysteries of the mind are many and they are complex. And neuroscience, through the use of technology, what we're doing here today, is unlocking so many potentials for what we are capable of as humans in our mindset, and what we can create, what we can accomplish, and what we can overcome, and how we can self-heal. And I think it's important that we explore, and that's why I'm called the Intuitive Prospector, because I help people prospect for their own spiritual goal, their spiritual path, their spiritual journey. But you've got to put in the work as well. You've got to actually be a prospector for what you want in your life, because nobody's going to bring it to you, and you've got to put on the right equipment. You got to get out and search and explore, and maybe get a little sweat on the brow and work hard for what you want. But when you find that and you put in the work and you find whatever it is you're looking for, just like a prospector that discovers gold, it's worth the journey. It's worth the hard work. It's worth your time and effort to do that. And so, if you start to explore the mind's ability to change, that's what's consistent in life for all of us, guys, is change. Change is going to continuously happen in society, in your family, in your career, in your love life, and that's just where life takes you, and that's where the changes can take you. So if you want to learn more about the work that I'm doing in mindfulness and meditations and metaphysics and mediumship, I am a professional spiritual medium, British trained, and I'm here in Seattle, Washington. You can always visit marclanehart.com. You can internet search The Intuitive Prospector. You can also find me live on the radio every Wisdom Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living, where we have amazing guests talking about all sorts of great topics. And you can also follow me on a live after show when I'm done with today's message for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays with Marc over on the Intuitive Prospector page here on Facebook Live. I'll be doing a Q&A and a follow-up for all of your questions that you may have for me, and it's a way for me to engage with the spiritual prospectors all around the world. But today's message, I wanted to talk about a couple things that you can do to help with your mind focus, to help with your thoughts that you're having on a daily basis. Studies have shown that we have anywhere from 50 to 60,000 thoughts on a given day, and that's just in one day. So imagine the power and the energy, and you only think one thought at one time. Now, us guys, we tend to be more one thought, move on, one thought, move on, more compartmentalized, where women's thoughts tend to be more multitask. Their thoughts can go many different directions in the studies that they have done. And it just shows you that you have a lot of thoughts in your day. So what are your thoughts telling you? And I teach on this a lot about mindfulness and paying attention and focusing on where your thoughts are taking you, because it's your thoughts that start everything. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your behavior. And it's through the thought process. The start if you've got so much going on, it just can get a little bit of what you call brain fog. It's getting, where you like, I have so much going on in life that I can't cross my T's and dot my I's. And so I've read a lot of books about mindfulness and about your thoughts, and I meditate every single morning. Like I said, I practice Qigong, which is movement, energy, and awareness. I do meditations, and there are all sorts of different meditations, guys. I don't want you to think that you have to sit in a certain pose. You can, you've got the power of the internet to search different meditations that would be right for you and your journey. Sometimes just sitting in silence can actually open you up and give you a lot of insight to your world. But the first thing that I would talk about this morning is relabeling your thoughts. So I'm going to go for about 15 minutes here, and then I'll have the live follow-up show over on the Intuitive Prospector page here on Facebook. Just type in the Intuitive Prospector and it'll pop up, so you can ask me direct questions there. But for today's message, I want to talk about relabeling your thoughts. So give your thought a new meaning. So if you're having a thought, learning to recognize is the first step. Some people don't recognize their own thoughts, and they just go through life, with just like a horse that's plowing a field, and you put the blinders on and you just do that straight path, which is fine. Everybody has their own journey. But if you're really struggling with your mindset and your minds and where your thoughts take you and the choices that you make in your life, it starts with your thoughts and what your thoughts are generating. So relabeling your thoughts is, for example, if somebody has a compulsive disorder. I know for myself, things have to be in a certain place. So some people would say that, OCD, or from a medical term. But if you are, if you have this, how could I say this? Your thoughts are, I don't like where that is sitting. I need to move that object. Instead of thinking that, you could say, I'm having an urge, or I'm having a thought on why I want to move this object. And so what it's doing, instead of just following your thought pattern of wanting to just go move that object, you start to have a conversation with your thought of, okay, why do you want to move that object? Why is it bothering you that's not in the right place? And there are people around the world that have a compulsive disorder, OCD, what they might call it. And I myself, it's an intuitive thing too, energetic. If you look at it in the way of metaphysics, everything carries energy, and sometimes just something in the wrong place can energetically not mix with you. So bringing conversation and relabeling your thought and putting it into words helps you identify your thought in the first place. Now, I don't want to get into labeling things and labeling people. I'm saying just relabeling your own thoughts for what makes sense to you. So your thought comes into your mind, and you relabel it and say, okay, I'm talking about my thought. Why am I having that thought? So, and it sounds easy, but it's not. It's not an easy thing to do, because our thoughts can just, 50 to 60,000 thoughts goes like that. So today's message about resetting your mind defaults is what this is all about. So relabeling your thoughts and bringing them out into your awareness and into your reality by speaking them and giving them a label. What this does as well is it starts to retrain the mind, because you're actually putting focus and awareness to your mindset, and you're bringing that out. So the brain takes a second and goes, okay, I'm not just functioning and doing what I want. I'm now being held accountable for my actions in my mindset. Some of us, some call it the ego. I refer to it sometimes as the drunken monkey mind that's running around, a bunch of drunken monkeys in our heads. There's many different ways to identify the ego, your mindset, give it a name. But what you can do is, step one is to relabel things. Relabel your thoughts by bringing them into awareness. The second step, answering the questions, is to reattribute. Have a conversation with yourself to say, why are these thoughts? So I have my thought, I've relabeled it and said, okay, why am I thinking this? Now, see if the thought comes back to you. And if the thought is coming back to you, you can reattribute and ask yourself, why does this thought keep coming back? How can I move past this thought? How can I get out of this stuck in gear mentality of where I'm at with this thought? And the thought could range from career, love life, your journey and maybe moving, what you're supposed to do in your future, what you didn't do in your past. And that's a whole nother conversation about living presently, because when you're living presently and you're living in the moment, your mindset doesn't focus in on the future, and your mindset doesn't focus in on the past. It puts you here in the moment, and that helps with mindfulness and also to reset your mind default. So every morning you start fresh, and again, you have the right and the choice to choose happiness, to be happy, regardless if you're in pain emotionally, pain physically, because I know a lot of you out there are in pain. I have physical ailments myself that I have to deal with on a daily basis, chronic pain. But I know that my mindset starts off the day with I choose happiness and I have an attitude for gratitude. I know that in some of my past webinars, I've shared with you some of the things that I like to do. I have a grateful 8 things that I wake up to every morning that I'm thankful for, and I say it out loud what I'm thankful for, whether it's something as simple as eyes to see, ears to hear, a mouth to talk, legs to walk, because there are people around the world, guys, that don't have some of the luxuries that we take for granted, a roof over our head, food in our mouth, clean drinking water. These are all things that I know that I do take for granted because there are some people around the world that don't have just the basic necessities of life. So I start off with a attitude for gratitude, and I have 8 things that I'm grateful for. Now, the reason I have 8 is because in numerology, I'm a life path 8, and I'm also a big fan of the 8 with the infinity, which is about journey in and journey out, journey in, journey out kind of energy. So relabel your thoughts, why your thoughts are doing that. Reattribute on why these thoughts keep coming back. Get out of that brain glitch, if you will, that brain fog, if you will, and raise the next question about what can I do about that thought that continues to come back. Sometimes what we resist persists, and that includes the mindset and how the mindset can really keep moving us forward. But sometimes it's that divine urge of the heart to the spiritual world, the work that I do as a medium, the work I do as a professional psychic. It's listening to that urge, that spark in the heart, and following some of those thoughts and asking, why am I seeing this? When I'm doing mediumship and I'm up either doing a one-on-one reading or I'm doing a platform gallery to the public, I get these thoughts and I have no idea what the thoughts are for. I know they're from the spiritual world as I blend with the spiritual world to give the message to somebody, but I have to ask, I got to refocus, what's this thought about without getting in the way, so I can give a beautiful healing message to that person that needs to receive the message. So thoughts are powerful. They carry a lot of energy. So relabel, reattribute why you're having these, refocus. And this is where the actual work starts to come in. How can you refocus your mindset to be mindful of the thoughts that you're thinking on a daily basis, living presently, living authentically? And it's very powerful. Reading, meditations, doing workshops. I'm planning on doing a workshop where I sit and it's a weekend where you don't speak a word. You actually are there for the weekend and you are in silence. It sounds easy, but I've talked to a lot of people and it can be tough. But retraining yourself and refocusing your energy and your mindset can really start to change even how the brain is wired. It's amazing that the studies they're finding through neuroscience of how the brain is our computer. If you think about your iPhone, if you think about your Droid smartphone, if you think about your computer that you're watching this on, it all works on energy, it all works on frequency and vibration. And the same thing with your heart, same thing with your mind. It's your computer system and they function together. And so what you can do is refocus on what is important to you and why you're having these thoughts and where you can take these thoughts. So refocusing is very, very powerful. And then, of course, revaluing. Coming back to bringing it all together after you've done your relabeling of your thoughts and identified them, after you've reattributed why these thoughts keep coming back, you've refocused now what can you do to change your thought patterns, whether that's finding a mentor through meditation, through daily practice, going to a workshop, reading a book, listening to a CD. There's many ways that technology can interact with our lives today, and refocusing now is the change that you've done, and then revaluing and bringing it all together. Bringing all of those 3 steps together into one is where the I wrote it down, is where the change behavior takes place. It's where you get into that zone. You get into replacing old behaviors, and we're a species of habits, and they talk anywhere from 2 weeks to a month of breaking habits. In studies that they've shown is you need at least 2 weeks of daily things to break your habits, whether it's smoking, whether it's drinking, whether it's your mindset, and staying constant. And the way that you can do that is by reevaluating what everything is from your thoughts, how you relabeled them, how you reattribute them, how you're refocusing and revaluing it all and bringing it all together so you can find peace and happiness for one, but also start to plant the seeds for your future. Because, you know, one of my favorite quotes from Abraham Lincoln, and it's here in my studio, says, one of the best things about the future is that it comes one day at a time. And I have that as a reminder here in my prospecting studio here in Seattle, Washington, of how important it is to plant seeds today with the mindset that you have. And so when you wake up, it's like turning your computer on and off. You got to turn your mind on and off. And I want to just share with you a couple more things before we end and head over to the live after show over on the Intuitive Prospector page. I wanted to give you just some gold nuggets for today. You know, enlightenment, when you change your mindset, that also helps. Education leads you to knowledge, knowledge leads you to wisdom, and wisdom, you know, eventually leads you to enlightenment. So this is where you can get into your light bulb moment. And when you take the pressure off, the light comes on. So if you guys are feeling a lot of pressure out there in life, whether it's through social, through society, take some of that pressure off. I always say it's important to take the time to disconnect so you may have the time to reconnect. And that's getting out into nature. I just set up my garden this weekend so I can go out and just kind of turn my mind off. I know my wife likes to come home and cook. That's a way for her to meditate and turn her mind off from the daily busyness of life. You know, when you get into when the brain takes a break from trying to reason everything out, the soul steps in and opens the door to the obvious. I love that. The soul provides inspiration, intuition, awareness at a much more powerful level than the physical brain ever could achieve. But to get there, it's turning that brain off so you can get to that moment of clarity. You know, where something might suddenly fall into place. You can't believe it until you see it, but it starts happening, and then you start believing it. There's a lot of great things. You know, ask yourself: have you become fixed on one particular goal or objective, and is your mindset totally around that, and you're neglecting other things, other important things in your life because you're so focused? It's good to refocus, but don't focus so much that you lose track of the small things in life, because at the end of our life, it's the little things that come back to us that we remember. So that's how you get to enlightenment, and that's how you get, with mindfulness, that's your starting point. So this morning, again, just thank you for joining me. I hope you have your coffee. I hope you have your tea. I'm having a British breakfast tea this morning. Love it. And I'll be going live here in just a few minutes over on the Intuitive Prospector page. It's a live after show Q&A with me directly. So you just, after we finish here on the Om Times Magazine platform, you can join me for a live Q&A over on the Intuitive Prospector page. Hope that you'll join me over there. But again, check out the classes I'm doing, guys. I talk about mindfulness. I talk about metaphysics. I talk about mediumship, spirituality, psychic sciences. Head over to the Om Times Learning Expert platform. The links are in this video. You can subscribe to this video and become part of the spiritual community, or what I like to say, spiritual prospectors looking for your own spiritual gold. And join me every Monday morning for Metaphysical Mocha to get a message that helps you for the week ahead, to give you inspiration. And if you only can get it, a few days in before you're lacking inspiration and motivation, then join me on Inspired Living Radio over on the internet through Om Times Radio. It's our show, Inspired Living with Marc and Kim, and we're live every Wisdom Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific. We will be taking questions through our Facebook page, and of course over the phone. You can always join us, and we have amazing guests with great, fascinating topics. So the number I want to give you for this morning to also help you, again, we have our positive affirmation for this week until next Monday. My life is filled with abundance and prosperity. Just tell yourself that day in and day out until we meet up next Monday. My life is filled with abundance and prosperity. And of course, you have the right and choice to choose happiness on a daily basis, regardless of where you're at in your journey, whether it's physical, emotional, you have the choice. So the number 27 came up in my meditation this morning. And when I see the number 27, that's a spiritual partnership number. And what it means is that you're about to form new friendships. So if you're seeing 27 You know, if 27 is an important date for you, if you were born on that number, if you were seeing 27 a lot, I saw it in my meditation. So a lot of times it's just a journey of coming together with like-minded people like you are today. I know it's not the 27th. But the number 27 was coming up in my meditation, and I just know that to be a spiritual partnership. So if you see the number 27, just be mindful and open to a new friendship, somebody of like-mindedness that's coming into your life to maybe help you on your journey. I say that people are lessons or blessings or both in our journey, whether it's a career, whether it's love life, whether it's just being a friend. And the totem animal that I want to give you guys today, I've been adding totem animals now because I think nature is important, and when we interact with nature, which is our greatest teacher, we can learn a lot about the world around us, we can learn a lot about ourselves, and if we pay attention to the signs, symbols, and synchronicities of the spiritual world, you'll be amazed whether it's songs, whether it's movies, whether it's animals, whether it's numbers, they interact with us in very amazing ways. So again, leave your comments here. I'll follow up after this live video and try to answer as many questions as I can. But I want to leave you with this last tidbit, which is the coyote. So in my meditation, I asked what animal the spirit world would like me to share with you, and the coyote comes up, and the message is to learn from your mistakes, because if you don't learn from your mistakes, you're due to repeat them, and we're all here to learn. That's what life is, learn it from experience. So if you see the coyote, it's just a reminder for you to lighten up. You're taking things way too seriously. The resources that you need are available, and they are at your fingertips if you choose to go after them. And something quite unexpected and not necessarily welcome is about to happen. So pay attention to the coyote because you're just putting too much pressure on yourself, and learn from your mistakes. And again, that's going to tie into the mindfulness that I was talking about and the tips that you can do to relabel your thoughts, identify them, reattribute why they keep coming up, revalue like why those thoughts important to you, and if they're not, just move them aside. Bring in new thoughts that you want that change your life, and thoughts that start planting those seeds of the future that I talk about tomorrow. And then, of course, just reevaluating what can you do to help aid you in your disciplines and your mentorship and your understanding of your mindset, because every morning that you wake up, those 50 to 60,000 thoughts await you, and what can you do on what thoughts you're having? Do you want to have the same 50, 60,000 thoughts? The choice is yours. Or do you want to have new thoughts, new creative thoughts, new inspiring thoughts? If you're a writer, if you're an artist, if you're a movie director, what story do you want to tell? What painting do you want to paint? What song do you want to write? Me as an inspirational teacher, what inspiration do I want to bring? And that's, again, starting with mindfulness, bringing what's in your mind into your reality. And that's where I like to say things are born twice. First in your mind, then in your reality. All right, guys, I hope that you have a great week. Thanks for joining me here this morning. I hope that you had a great weekend. Have a great week ahead. Stay positive, stay mindful, stay in the moment, be at peace, many blessings, and I will be over on the Intuitive Prospector live after show for your Q&A here in just a few minutes. I hope that you'll hop over and join me, and I'll be back here on Om Times Magazine next week. For more information, go to marclanehart.com or just internet search the Intuitive Prospector. Cheers to you. Namaste. Be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.